Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels. We're a video game music podcast. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, we find some tracks, and we listen to the music. We talk about the music in the game. We talk about the music itself. We talk about TGIF lineup from the 1990s.
That's the best part of the show, in my opinion.
We talk about John Madden.
Oh God, don't know.
No more about John Madden from me.
Unless.
Okay, so top of the show stuff. I want to first say that on June 25th is the Too Many Games Expo in the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, which is in Oaks, Pennsylvania. It's all that weekend. It's a fantastic convention of retro gaming, of music, of vendors, of fast food, and a whole arcade room. But on the 25th at 6:30 p.m., Pernell and I will be hosting the podcast at the expo.
It's going to be ridiculous because we're going in blind. We're going to just play it by ear. Nobody knows what we're doing. Actually, we're not playing it. We're not playing it by ear. We actually are intending to use the time to do our contribution to the Masters of VGM segment that's going on with the podcast community this month.
That's right. And actually, the week after, I was thinking of doing a mixtape of like tracks for the Masters of VGM, just so that it's like kind of like a more of a capstone or a keystone or what do you say, like a milestone?
I'm not even sure where you're going with this, but I like the
Skipping
idea.
Stone. Yeah. So, So it's something kind of like to cap that whole thing, because all of the podcasters, VGM podcasters that we know anyway, are contributing towards the Masters of VGM of composers that we love and who are masters of their craft. We're celebrating all of the month of June. Everyone's doing a special episode.
And it's funny because I've been putting a lot of time into trying to figure it out, but it's probably all going to come down to Sunday. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to figure it all out and choose my tunes, because it's surprisingly hard for me to do, because on one hand, you might be thinking like, well, there's obviously who they are. I'm like, yeah, I know Yuzo Koshiro exists. I get it. I'm not going with him. I'm just stating it right now. I'm intending to try to choose people that I think would fit in, but people aren't likely to choose.
Right.
Because I want to give some much deserved composers their due.
Yeah.
In the Wall of Fame.
Yeah. So we have a little anxiety about performing in public again. It's been 3 years. That's okay. We could do this. But so if you want to meet us, if you want to have some fun, come check us out. Definitely come to the expo if you're in the area, if you're close to the area. It's a really fun time. It's fun for the family. It's fun for your soul. There's board games. There's a ton of board games they announced.
Or at least announced.
Well, on Facebook, they have like a big board game area with board game.
I didn't know that.
I think we go there early, and that's just what we do.
That may well be a good idea.
I know they have arcade games. Like, I'll probably want to play Street Fighter after the show. Find me, everyone. If you want to fight me,
at Street Fighter.
At Street Fighter, at Nintendo.
At Nintendo.
Find me after the show. But yeah, we play board games all day. I think that'd be fun.
I'm good for that. I just want to also play some U-Beat and Poppin' music.
Of course.
If they have them.
If they have them. They might. They usually have U-Beat. And then in August is the Retro World Expo in Hartford, Connecticut.
And as we apparently confirmed 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago. We'll be up there. I think we were going to be up there anyway, but there's going to be a panel with Ed Wilson from the VG Embassy, Mike Levy.
There you go.
And Justin Schneider.
There you go.
From XVGM Radio. We'll be up there, and they were really kind and invited us up to present with them. And so, yeah, you can find us up there. So that's in Connecticut in August. I think it's like in the middle of August.
It's going to be red hot.
Oh, it's going to be
summertime.
It's going to be popping.
Oh, that's my word, and I'm embarrassed to admit that.
So check us out there too. So we're kind of going back on the road again. Getting back in the saddle. There was like a year, 2018, 2017, that I was trying to find every podcast event happening in Philadelphia, and they were not all the same.
That is very true. It was fun to do the one though. But we were at what was it? I guess it was literally called like the Podcasters Exchange or something like that. The Podcasters.
A podcast movement? No, something like that.
It was like basically Philadelphia. Podfest.
Yes.
Yeah, basically Philadelphia. This organization had podcasters at a multitude of locations throughout the city, all on the same day presenting. And honestly, we had a fairly quiet venue. It was a good venue for us. But then we went to a place called Thirsty Dice, which is a board game cafe.
That place was noisy.
And unfortunately, someone had to present there. I'm like, well, that poor guy.
Okay, so no shade to those people. I kind of feel bad for them. So we were in kind of a shared like creative workspace in Philadelphia where people like do like 3D modeling stuff with computers. It was really fancy. And we had a small group of other podcasters and people just checking it out. And I thought it was really nice. We had some participation. People were listening, but it was quiet.
Yeah.
And then we go to this board game bar, essentially.
Which is a fantastic
and it
bar,
was
by the way.
packed with people. Packed. And there were like 2 people in the corner trying to have like a really quiet Dungeons and Dragons, like RPG style game with just the 2 of them. And like it was impossible to know what was going on.
It was nuts. Like I definitely give kudos to the guys who were doing the show that day though, because they were doing their whole shebang. But they were competing with multiple people that were there outside of the event just to play games, and everyone was loud.
Yeah, it was tough.
So
Like, for you and me, it would have been like, we'll just play DJ. You know, we'll just play music and then we'll just kind of go crazy. But for something that's more of like an intimate, like,
I'll be honest, if
I would
have just played board games while we recorded. The episode would have been Rob and Purnell played board games while they do podcasts.
Yeah.
That would have literally been it.
That would have been it. You would have hung out while me and Purnell play, God knows, whatever. Like, I never know what we're going to play because you have so many games.
This is true. And I need to stop, but
there's one on the table today, which I'm super interested in playing. I really want to play that one.
It's a good one, and we'll talk about it later in the show.
Yeah, we're going to have a board game beats moment later in the show. Yeah, so those are the rest of the things I want to talk about at the beginning of the show. But this show is all about the kickoff to summer. It's starting to get hot out. There's some games are getting announced.
Well, I don't even know at this point. A friend of mine had to tell me today through text that this was like the summer, the non-E3 events, as he referred to them, where all the different companies decided to have their own press conferences. And I didn't even realize it. I just kind of stumbled across the news of the Last of Us Part 1 update. And my response to that was, I mean, I was positive enough to be like, if someone is interested in that, I hope they enjoy it. But I bought it when it was on PS3. I bought it when it came to PS4 as a remaster. Well, why would it need to go to PS5 too? Like, the game is playable, on a PS4 and on a PS5 technically.
It's one of those games, man. It's like Enter the Gungeon. It's like they're gonna make a PS5 like version, and Devolver's gonna be like, it's the special version that's all like souped up graphics, and it's gonna be the exact same game.
But that's just it though. Like there's nothing, like they make it look nicer, but it's negligible at this point. The PS4 version looked great. The PS3 version looks great. Like, and the story is already like, it's a good narrative, but it's one of those games where you kind of play it once and you kind of experienced it. They don't give you a lot of room for variety in your gameplay.
Just have it available on the PS5. So if that's the only system you own, you can still enjoy a great game.
Yeah, but that's what I mean though. Like, that's why I say I get it if someone buys it. Like, there's no reason for them not to if they want it. That's what you do. But the game exists on PS4, and the PS5 can play PS4 games. So it's like, I don't know who this is for.
It's fully, it can play all of them?
It can play them, yeah.
Oh, okay, then it doesn't matter.
So I'm like, in that regard, it's like, if you want it because it looks slightly nicer, that's cool. But in my eyes, I'm like, why? Like, it's already there.
You know what got announced that I'm kind of getting excited about?
Should be the Callisto Protocol, but it's not. What is it?
It's not. No, it's the new Street Fighter.
Oh, it's a good. That's your thing.
Getting the itch again. I watched the whole thing on the and reading about like the new gameplay mechanics. They're bringing back Universal Parry system.
I have no idea who
Universal
Parry is.
Parry system.
I've never met that guy.
Parry, Walter and Perry, Perry Mason.
So what is this Universal? I may be going too deep in the weeds, but what is Universal Parry?
Street Fighter 3. Every character in the game could parry an attack. Parrying an attack was a risk-reward system. The risk was, instead of blocking, you had to tap forward towards your opponent,
like basically leaning into it,
doubling
down on
it. And if your timing was right, you could parry it, and the reward was you got an extra bonus to do a combo on them.
Okay.
The risk was you're leaning into it, you just get punched in the face.
Oh yeah.
So they Street Fighter 4 kind of did that with the focus attack, which I really liked, but because every character had that. But then Street Fighter,
that weird like attack where you kind of had like a black trail behind you.
Yeah, and you can kind of like go through attacks, and you can cancel it out and do other stuff. And then in 5 they got rid of it, and like Ryu and like maybe 2 others like had a variation of the parry.
Oh, that's why it's universal, because now everyone can do it again.
And now they're bringing it to everybody, and they revamped the whole like gauge system. So like you can do an EX move, but it doesn't take away your super. It takes away like this other gauge, and the only way to get gauge back is to parry successfully.
Whew.
So if you want to optimize your combos, you have to play like really strong defense. I think it's super cool.
It should be interesting to see how it plays out, though, because it sounds like a major change in how the gameplay shift would work.
And they're bringing in there's like an open world tour mode, which
that's what I'm interested in.
Looks kind of weird, but then like at the same time, like the last time they had like a world tour like RPG style thing was Alpha 3 on the PlayStation,
and that's why I bought Alpha 3.
Yeah,
so.
I was watching a thing from Maximilian, who's like a old Street Fighter head, and he was like, the last time I saw this was Alpha 3. We got to play Alpha 3 next time. And I was like, yes,
because I mean that's why I bought the game, and that's also why I never sold it.
And I love the style. I think it looks really cool. They're trying to make it more like street. Everything's like actually in a street fight.
And the cops never show up.
No, of course not. So yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that again. It's good if it's a PS5 only game, then I'm not going to play it for a long time because I am not buying a new system for a while. It's going to take and then even then I'd have to get an adapter or a new stick. And
why don't you need an adapter? You could probably use PS4 controllers on it.
Well, I'm using PS3 sticks.
Oh yeah, you're screwed.
So so I would probably need an adapter to do that. So I like my stick. It's the original tournament edition when Street Fighter 4 came out. That I bought at that tournament, Summer Jam or whatever it was, like ages ago.
Is that Game Junkie?
Oh no! It was one of Big Ed's tournaments. It was not Winter Brawl, the summer one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm on board.
Yeah, and it was fun, and I stayed there all day, and I played great casual games. I got to see Justin Wong play a money match against some guy, New York NYC Chris, and
I wish his name was New York Slice.
And then I got into pools, and it was so crowded I never heard my name. And then when I asked about myself, they said, "We called your name. You're disqualified."
Oh darn! So you didn't even get a chance to compete.
Nope, I was there all day.
Oh, that sucks.
I was so mad. I was like the only able player.
So you didn't get to show off the able.
Did not. Probably would have done that well anyway. But that's
he would have stayed. Maybe if he was able, he would have been in Street Fighter 5.
It was a strong set of players there. I mean, I think Justin took that day. But
as he should.
Takes a
that
lot.
Guy is a beast.
He's very, very good. Anyway,
never forget that. Like I actually put him into a tournament. That's one last thing I want to tell. I remember.
Yeah, how long ago was this?
This was ages ago, like 2004.
2004 MagFest.
Yeah, it was like a tournament that was running for
Mid-Atlantic Gaming.
Way back was Mid-Atlantic Gaming at the time. But he eventually was there hanging out. He was there for tournaments and games he was familiar with, and also he was there with his crew that he ran with at the time. And a tournament was popping off for a game he had never played before, and we were looking for more people to do it. I was like, Justin can do it. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, come on, you got nothing going on. You're in this tournament." And he's like, "I've never played the game before." I'm like, "Well, that's why you're going to win. So just go. Have fun with it." And, of course, yeah, he dusted everybody. Like, it was ridiculous.
You put a ringer in there, man.
He'd never played the game before. It was almost hilarious. It was just me seeing...
He's got natural talent.
Yeah, and I wanted to see if natural talent could carry across fighting games. And the answer is yes.
And the answer is resoundingly yes. That guy knows his stuff. All right, so I chose from games that I'm looking forward to playing this summer, mostly, and games that have been released recently.
Whereas I did some of that.
Yeah, this is kind of a freebie topic for us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like I did that, and I also picked general summary things. Like I combined the two.
Yeah. Oh, my bonus round track is a summer jam.
Oh.
Absolute summer jam.
Is it Will Smith?
It's Summertime by Will Smith and DJ Jazzy
Juice.
Jazzy Juice. Jazzy Juice. But this is an even-numbered episode, so I'm going to kick things off. Also, all my tracks are super chill. Very, very chill. The first track I'm playing is from the game Tunic.
Oh.
Really want to play Tunic. It's I only own a PlayStation 4. It won't be on the PlayStation 4 until like September. So end of summer, but still summer.
It still counts, but that means you have to actually play it before summer ends. Not beat it. You got to play it before summer ends.
I have to?
That goes with the claim. You got to play it
I could do that. All right, so I got really interested because I didn't know, or maybe I forgot that on the soundtrack is Lifeformed, who did the music to Dust Force.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense because it has that style of that aura, that aural vibe.
Really, really does. So Lifeformed, name is Terence Lee, and someone named Janice Kwan worked together on the whole soundtrack, and it's gorgeous. So we're going to listen to the first track. It's called To Far Shores from the game Tunic. You're listening to the track To Far Shores from the game Tunic, composed by Lifeformed, Terence Lee, and Janice Kwan. And I fell in love with the soundtrack today, so much so that I am not reading anything else about this game. I want to go in as cold as possible, like 2 to 3 months from now.
There's one thing worth telling you, though. It's not a spoiler.
It's great. It's fun.
Well,
and
aside
I'm gonna enjoy it, and
aside from all of that stuff, it's how the manual works, because I think the manual is just like a really cool thing about the game, and listeners might be interested in hearing it too, which is that. So obviously, games don't generally come with manuals, especially not digital ones.
Oh yeah.
But the way this game works is you actually find pages of the game's manual inside the game, telling you how things work. However, the manual is in a foreign language, like an in-game foreign language. So you'll see like a picture of him like throwing an object, and it'll have details of like, this is how you do it. And you might even sometimes see like a button representing what you do to throw,
but you can't read it. I like that. So it's more like pictures, like pictorial, like you figure it out as you go.
And over time, though, you do learn the language enough to be able to read the pages. Because I believe some of the puzzles later will require you to be able to read enough to get it out of the manual.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's very much like Fez. Yeah, Fez, I had to learn like a whole language to get some of the puzzles. Where I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that was just a bunch of random blocks on the ground. And it's like, no. It's actually a math equation.
Those are puzzles. Those are the kinds of puzzles I like. I will admit, they can sting at times when you're like I wasn't paying attention hours later.
Yeah, exactly. The environmental puzzles.
But if you're on board with it the whole way through, though, or that the game can at least give you a cue, like at least go back to this region and find it, then it's like, no, I'm all in.
But I'm actually really excited for this one. So I'm trying to stay away from information about it. It's probably I can do it. I know I can do it, but this will be. I'm really looking forward to playing through this one. Really looking forward to it.
Well, in that case, then I look forward to hearing what you have to say about it when you get there.
Eventually, it's good. So it won't be till September. Won't be till September for now.
Well, I mean, the way my time is working, September's tomorrow.
September, yeah, exactly.
Time is moving so fast.
At our age, it goes so fast.
But
this is beautiful. It's got that life. It's got the Lifeformed sound with all of like this fun, like arpeggiated synths, like flying back and forth. But there's like some kind of there's like a wind instrument back there. There's like a flute, and there's a lot of extra piano. So I think that is the influence of maybe the other composer, Janice Kwan, and it works really well together. And there's no heavy like beats in this game. There's no like.
It's all melodic.
Yeah, it's all very melodic. Yeah, which is
good because you're going to die a lot.
I bet I will. But yeah, it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful track. I love Lifeformed. I love the work that he's put together. So.
Which is a good track for me to ask you this question.
Yeah.
That the wise guy's been tossing around.
Yeah, let's get into this. So you were telling me about this on the break.
So the wise guy has gotten into the habit of creating polls, asking questions, basically choosing the worst of a group, with the problem being that the group is all good things, which makes you dig a little deeper, right? No ability to just choose like the easy worst, dog to kick around, like the kicking tool or whatever. So, in this instance, the question is, which of these games would you consider to be the worst on the PlayStation 1? Specifically that. Now, the game options are Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Ooh. Metal Gear Solid, Symphony of the Night. What else was there again? The first
Final
one?
Fantasy VII.
I really like Metal Gear. Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, I chose that too. Go
Yeah.
figure. And like the thing about it is like people were like, "How could you choose Final Fantasy VII?" Though I had a couple people that did.
My thoughts are Final Fantasy VII is fantastic. One of the first like 3D RPGs, groundbreaking, right? But Metal Gear Solid, that is like an outstanding adventure game that I feel like really revolutionized the genre. Where like Final Fantasy, it was in 3D, but it was still just an RPG, JRPG. And then Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it brought back like platform side-scrolling with exploration like Metroid and like created its own genre.
And that's honestly kind of where I came at it from too, which was essentially both Metal Gear Solid.
But it's so hard because they're all awesome.
Oh yeah, but that's why you have to have these everyone has their own methodology behind this, and mine was pretty much the same thing. It was Metal Gear Solid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night essentially pioneered their own genres, which have been being utilized to this very day. I've heard people make statements like, "Well, yeah, but now there's a better version of Metal Gear." So I was like, "That's not the question we're asking. We're asking what was the best or what's the worst at the time." So, like Metal Gear Solid 1, yeah, there were some dumb puzzles in it that I didn't like, but at the grand scheme of things, it was a revolutionary experience that I had. Playing through that game and experiencing it as I did felt fantastic.
I can't say if historically if Metal Gear Solid was more ambitious than Final Fantasy VII, but to me as a player, it didn't feel like anything else I've done before.
Yeah, and
it was a cinematic in a way that was like that wasn't just watching cutscenes.
And I think that's the crux of it because they were both ambitious games. One being more so monetarily, and the other being thematically and gameplay wise too. So in that regard, yes, but Final Fantasy VII, to me, despite the fact that it's the reason why we get more RPGs now in the States, it was at the core, like you said, a JRPG with a bigger budget.
Here we go. Other side of the coin. Of the three, you picked the lowest one. For whatever reason. Now pick the highest one.
Castlevania.
Yes, my buddy.
There was no way it was going to be Metal Gear Solid. As much as I love the game, it was not going to be that comparatively.
Yeah.
I've played through Symphony of the Night so many times. I actually found my old save file with 198% of the castle filled in on my memory card, whereas a couple others have died. That one lives on from 1997.
Wow.
Or sorry, 1998. So I'm good for that. All
right, so let's get into your first track then.
All right, so my first track is going to not be from the summer choices so much as the summer games choices, because I was inspired to not necessarily just play all brand new games or games on newer systems during this summer games challenge. So I dug deep. I dug up my old PS2 and a couple of other systems, which I'll get to later. And the game that I chose, which I started playing again last night, actually, is the game Alundra for the PlayStation 1.
Oh, yeah, I saw you posted some pictures of that. It was like 3 in the morning, and you're like, I'm playing Alundra.
Playing Alundra, which is why I'm sleepy right now. This track title is called Village of Inoa, and it's composed by Kohei Tanaka.
In love with this music, Pernell. I am in love with this so much.
Because this,
it's that. I mean, that's a good part, but the bass is.
Like it's just a good track.
It's such a good track, Pernell. I have we played any Alundra on the show? I don't think we. I can't think we have.
I've definitely played one track from this game at least. I don't recall where, but I know I've played a track. Maybe the Nightmare theme. I'll have to look it up on the next break, but I want to say it was probably the Nightmare theme. But I've definitely talk about this game on the show before. But to do the reiteration tidbit, this is from the game Alundra. The track title is called Village of Inoa, or Inoa, composed by Kohei Tanaka on the PlayStation 1. Unfortunately, it's never gotten a port to my knowledge, so the PS1 is where it stays. As a person who loved Landstalker back in the day, when I learned that this game was coming out, but it was also back before, internet news and all that, I just kind of stumbled across the realization that this game was a thing that was at the store. I was like, oh, I'm buying that. It looks a lot like Landstalker. And it's
kind of like an isometric style, like dungeon crawler?
Not isometric. It's like more like a Zelda style, like left to right, up down, left, right. But you jump and stuff on top of objects. But it's just like Landstalker, a very brutal game. You play as an adventurer named Alundra who goes to this island because of a premonition that calls you there, and you learn there that you are what's known as a dream walker. You can go into people's dreams and rescue them from afflictions that are attacking them in their sleep, a la like the Freddy Krueger kind of concept. So you're exploring the actual island you're on. you're also going to the dreams of the villagers in the town village of Inoa. And the thing that makes this game especially impactful is the fact that despite the fact that you're a hero and you're doing your best, things get pretty rocky. Like this track starts to become a very depressing theme as you're playing.
It's so good. It's so jazzy, and right there, not even like the huh part. That little like that keyboard track. Here it comes. Yeah, those chords are so nice. They're so nice. Like it's almost like a guitar strum on the keyboard.
I love it.
Oh, it's so good. So jazzy. I really want more of this music.
Well, you should give it. Well, obviously you should give it a try. But I realize it'll probably be a hard thing to locate at this point.
It's going to be tough to find. But wow. I'm loving, and even the on the loop, it kind of like builds and builds and builds. I wasn't expecting that to happen.
And the funny thing is, like, it kicked in more for me when I started playing it again, because like I knew the track from back in the day. I remembered it. But it didn't resonate again until I heard it in the game. And I'm like, oh, I like listening to this running around the town trying to buy, a life vessel or talk to this character or find the house that contains the fortune teller. Like, it's a good village track. It's a really good village track. The entire OST of this game is a gem, though.
Yeah. Well, this is really, really good.
And then they made Alundra 2.
And there's something wrong there?
It's not a bad game, but it shouldn't have been Alundra 2. It should have been something else.
Just called it something else.
They just called it something else. Like, I don't even know why they called it Alundra 2.
Is it the same developer as Landstalker? Do you know?
Climax? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think Landstalker was.
Landstalker was definitely Climax.
Okay.
I'll double check myself.
We'll check later. We won't do it now. All right. So my next track is another chill track. Unfortunately it's only on Switch right now, but I really want to play it.
Time to buy a Switch.
I know. I'm thinking about it. It's called My Cloud Gardens. It's a puzzle game on the Switch. If it's not out now, it'll be out soon. This track is called Mycelium. It's a environmental puzzle game where you're sort of moving around cities and kind of taking it over with wildlife. It looks gorgeous. So we're going to listen to the track called Mycelium, which is something I'm very passionate about. And this track is composed by Amos, Roddy, and M. Robertson. This is the track Mycelium from the game Cloud Gardens, composed by Amos, Roddy, and M. Robertson. It's available on Steam, right?
Yes, it is on Steam.
And coming to the Switch. And it looks like a fun, relaxing puzzle game.
I was trying to make sense of it from the announcement trailer just now, and all I gathered, it reminded me of an environment manipulated in games, similar to how Wetrix worked, how you had to put things down into a closed space, and those things caused the environment to make changes to it.
Right, you're building up hills to capture the water and not have the water overflow or go too deep. Yeah.
But in this game, there was like a sequence where the guy put like a old subway train down and like some old teddy bears.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is the purpose? It's like, what are you doing by placing these things here? But
I think every stage might have like its own like specific goals, or maybe you unravel what the goals should be as you play through the environments, and it looks really, really neat, which I'm really excited about. And this kind of like soundtrack is, I think I was just in the mood for something like this today.
There's something to be said for stylistic puzzlers these days that even if they don't do anything particularly wild or crazy, the style carries them a long way. Not saying that that's what this game is, because again, I don't know. I want to know more.
Yeah.
But there's a game I came across recently called Pedestrian, which is I'm playing on Xbox. It's a Game Pass game, and it takes place across a variety of street signs. Like you are one of those like, I was cautious. I was like, wet floor, and there's a guy like sliding on the floor about to trip the stick figure man. You're controlling a stick figure person, and you're navigating through a bunch of street signs. Like you go from one street sign to the next, you'll like kind of like traverse to the next one.
Oh yeah.
It's weird to describe, but each street sign is essentially a platform puzzle that you have to navigate in order to get to the next one.
That sounds cool though. I really like that idea.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like at its surface, it's nothing new, but the visuals coupled with the gameplay makes it especially special. And I am a big fan of it. It's and there's some areas where like there's multiple street signs side by side, and you have to manipulate them in a way so that you go down from one street sign, you go down one, and you come out the top of another.
Oh, neat!
And it's based on where you place the signs on the screen.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's a good one.
Now I said that I'm passionate about Mycelium because I think it's just a fascinating piece of like nature, and it's been everywhere. Millions, billions of years before we were around, and it'll be here even after we're gone, and it's so beneficial to us. It's so beneficial to us. So I take mushroom pills every day.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a fan of eating mushrooms like and not usually, but I like roasted mushrooms a lot.
Honestly, I feel like you and my friend Richardson got me into the ability to consume mushrooms. Like the first one day I was hanging out at his house, like staying over, and for breakfast he was like, "Hey, I'm making breakfast." I was like, "Okay, great. I like free food." And he's like, "Here's this giant mushroom I cooked." I'm like, "Oh God, mushrooms are disgusting." But there's a rule where if someone serves you food, you gotta eat it, unless it's poisoned, obviously. In which case you're allowed to question it and then eat it. But you have to eat it. So I'm sitting there like, I don't like mushrooms, but he made this mushroom. I gotta eat it. So I'm sitting there like knife and fork, like The first fork fall, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. The second one, I was like, wait a minute. This is kind of okay. Like, what was I so afraid of? Like, this tastes fine. And then sauteed mushrooms, which I had afterwards, changed everything. Sauteed mushrooms are amazing.
Yeah.
But
but there's so many different kinds. And in nature, they're out there communicating with each other, and they're helping all the trees around them. And they absorb, and they are able to process like all of this disease,
managing mushroom kingdoms.
And so we can take that and consume that, and that can help us fight off other diseases and things like that. So it's really, really good for us. I think mushrooms are awesome. But right now, there's some other things that we love, and that's cardboard, right? Cardboard and
mushrooms
and plastic and 3D printed pieces that we can put in boxes on our shelves.
3D printed mushrooms.
Yeah. So Purnell is time for Purnell's part of the show.
Oh, board game beats.
Yeah. What do you think I was talking about?
I'm not really sure. Not really sure. So on this episode of Board Game Beats, I was provided a review copy of a game from Bazier Games called Maglev Metro. It is designed by Ted Alspach. I haven't played much of the other games he's done aside from Suburbia, but what I can tell you off the bat, before even describing the game proper, is that this bad boy is authentically good. Like, I had a lot of fun playing it. So I have to get this to the table to play with Rob at some point soon, but after how I played it and how he's going to hear about it right now, I think he's going to be really excited to give it a shot himself.
You think I won't be?
No, I think you will be.
Yeah, I am right now.
So
I want to.
So the idea of this game, to my recollection, is that it takes place in like a future city, and you are operating a magnetic levitation rail train. So the game situation is that you get a train car. The train car, by design, is meant to travel from station to station, transporting people from each station to the station they want to go to. However, at the beginning of the game, there's a number of stations, a number of people that want to go to those. You need to get picked up from those stations, and no train track, just a starting position. So each player is given these hexagonal tiles that are translucent. Solid translucent tiles. So just a side note there, the components in this game are really cool.
So that reminds me a little bit of Mystic Vale, where you have the cards are translucent and they can sort of like layer on top of each other.
Which is good that you said, because that's exactly what you want to do with them in this game too. When you're taking a turn, you are able to place tracks down onto the board. And you can't block other players out because the tiles are designed in a way that they're translucent and they take up a slightly different position on the board than the previous guy's color or top track does. So if you place one tile on top of another, it creates two different tracks in the same space. So both players can technically traverse the board. Now, the strategy behind this game and what makes it a board game is that, like I said before, you're trying to transport people from point A to point B on this map. And as you expand further out, more people show up on the board. You start placing new facilities down that create new passenger types and whatnot. But your train has a certain capacity of function. So there are a number of stats to the train, such as, number of tracks tiles you can place down, number of people you can pick up, number of people you can drop off, the number of tiles you can move when or stations you can move to when your train is functional, the ability to turn your train around.
Yeah, I guess as a train, you can't exactly just pick it up off the track and flip it.
Exactly. You got to actually spend a resource to do it. Now, the resource in this game are androids, because in addition to eventual commuters, you're also transporting worker androids around. Once you transport a worker android from one place it wants to go to another, it becomes a part of your tableau. And you can place that worker in an appropriate space in your tableau to expand upon your train's functionality. At the beginning of the game, you might be like, you can move like one space, but with 2 workers, you can now move 3 spaces, which becomes nice. You might be able to pick up 3 passengers, but only drop off 1. Pretty crappy as far as efficiency is concerned.
Right.
Once you start moving more people around, now you're able to transport 3 and drop off 3. And the more you pick up and drop off, the better you do. Now, as you eventually get to the game, one of the functions you can have is something called building a station, which means you decide that if you're able to unlock it by placing the right workers on your board, you can create new stations that aren't currently in existence on the game, like a studio or a store or like an office place. And when you put those buildings, facilities, those locations down, a whole new set of people come into the the pool of people that can be asked to transport around, and they're considered commuters. So it's a bag that you're pulling all these people from, and when you're loading the stations, I was like, dump them. Okay, I got 2 workers, 2 androids, and a civilian that are all here. They want to go to their respective places. And they have nowadays new places you can pick up people and transport them out too. And those people allow you to build up a tableau to get extra victory points, unlock new extra turns, so you can take more turns instead of the initial default 2. So you're expanding the more turns you can take, the more functionality your turns can have, and the ability to score additional victory points at the end of the game. It's
So what, is there player conflict in that you're racing for better score, or are you like kind of getting in each other's way with the trains?
Well, not so much in the way of the trains.
Are you fighting for space on the board?
You're fighting for people and access to the location.
Okay, so the people, it's not just your own. Like, you're fighting for the people that is a finite resource.
Exactly. So if there's a station that has 2 purple people, and of the 4 players, only 2 people have the ability to transport purple commuters, because you have to unlock the ability to transport commuters.
Yeah.
So if only 2 people out of the 4 can transport them, you're likely trying to fight to get to those people to transport them before the other guy can, because you might need them to fill out a specific area of your tableau board that guy might also need. So the person who gets to them first gets to transport them first and unlock aspects of their board the other person can't.
So that's cool. So you're fighting for that, and you're kind of racing towards that. And then is the game over at a specific condition, or is it like over so many rounds?
After every person's been transported to a location.
I was going to say, that's probably about right. That sounds cool.
It's a really, really good game. And like I mentioned before, the components in this thing are top notch. The tiles that represent the different stations are thick wooden tiles. So they're sturdy, and they are inserted into the board. The commuters are little meeple people, like Android and commuter style meeple people of different colors. They're pretty solid. The bag that you put them all in, nice fabric bag. The board is a dense, thick cardboard as well.
That box is heavy. That box is heavy, and usually, like when a box is heavy, it's like full of like really like it's usually like a ton of cards. But this one's just components.
Yes, really good components.
Where can people find this?
So Bazier Games, you can usually buy it directly from their website. I believe it's just literally www.baziergames.com. Typically, your classic board game retailers might carry it too, but if you don't know of any particularly in your neighborhood, you could always hit up websites like Cool Stuff Inc. or Miniature Market. They would carry this game for sure. Or, of course, last case scenario, Amazon can do it too. But hit a board game shop before you go to Amazon.
Yeah, what's the your friendly local?
Oh, FLGS, your friendly local game shop.
Yeah, FLGS.
I always do my utmost best to give money to one of those guys before I go to like a big box store, because quite frankly, it's a hobby, and I feel personally that if there's a board game shop in a town, it's in its own way enriching the community in some way.
Yeah, and they're probably also struggling. So
yeah,
definitely. So that's very cool. And we'll also have links to information about the game, maybe videos of the gameplay, and where you can buy the game on the website and in the website page for this episode.
Yes,
so you can check that out there.
Such a good game.
So it's your next track pick.
Oh, unfortunately, this track is not from the game Maglev Metro, which I need to feel like I do it one day.
You can listen to it while you play the game.
This is true. I need to start coming up with OSTs to play while board gaming, like specifically. But this track comes from another game that I intend to actually finish this summer if I can help it. This comes from the game Cristales, and the track title is called The General's Last Stand, and is composed by Tyson Wernli. Welcome back. You are listening to The General's Last Stand from the game Cristales, which is on pretty much the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, composed by Tyson Wernli. This track is a freaking bop. I've been listening to it intermittently for the last few months now.
It's really good. It's really, really. There's a lot of pieces to it, which is awesome. I always like that a lot.
Yes. Don't be shocked if you hear this game come up on the show in future episodes too. Most notably at the end of summer, after I hopefully beat the game. I started playing it a bit last year and then got sidetracked by everything. But the game itself is honestly really nice. The premise, though I'm going to get this wrong, is that you play as a girl named Cristales who discovers unexpectedly one day that she's actually a time mage, which is a rare type of magician in the world she lives in with the ability to manipulate time, which comes into handy because the main adversary of the game's world is an actual time witch of extreme power who's coming into form, and she's causing a lot of problems for society. And your ultimate goal is to stop her while also learning about Cristales' history and where she comes from.
Is this like an action platformer? Or
no, it's an RPG.
It's an RPG, okay.
So what ends up happening is while you're moving around, it can be a little disorienting if you're not used to it, but the game takes place in the past, the present, and the future. And you can see all three of them at the exact same time, all the time. So the game, as you're walking, kind of has like a tear in it. So you can see, like, on one half of the screen is the past, the other side is the future, and you're running in the middle. And with the press of a button, you can leap into one of them to go directly into the past and manipulate it as it is back then, or go to the future and manipulate it there and work with the world as it is in that period of time. And it sounds weird, but it actually works in execution. And then the battles are even stranger, because while you're fighting enemies, you fight generally in the middle of the screen, and you can have enemies on your left and your right. And one of the main character's actions, because there's other party members, but this is something only Cristales can do. She has something called time crystals, and she can actively choose to throw a character on the one side of the screen to the past and the other character in the future. So let's say you're fighting a soldier, right?
Right.
Like a 35-year-old soldier. They don't tell you the age, but I'm just throwing it out.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, screw this. I don't want to deal with this guy like this. I want to throw him into the future. So you use a time crystal, you shunt him into the future, and now you're fighting his future self as a 75-year-old soldier, and his stats change to reflect his age. As he's older, his defense goes down, but his attack power somehow goes up.
Interesting. So you're not flinging him into the future. You're just You're like kind of changing the time around him.
Yes.
Oh.
And it's interesting because it works with some of the characters' abilities too. Like, for example, you could drop a poisonous seed on the ground, flip it to the future, and now the seed is grown into a poisonous plant, and it affects the enemies. Or you can poison an enemy in the past, shunt him in the future, and he takes on a bulk of poison damage simultaneously. It's like it all builds up.
Oh, cool. So there's a lot of like combinations and like combo actions you can take. So you started this one, or
I started. I think a lot of the games that's going to happen this summer are probably games. I mean, there may be one or two that I start from scratch. But for the most part, I've started all of them. But now's the time to focus and finish them.
That makes sense, right? Like the ones that you've really the ones that you probably remember the most, you want to go back to and just keep playing them.
Yes, because for those who are probably listening, it's like, but that doesn't make sense. The whole point of the challenge is to play new stuff. Like, well, my backlog is a little different. I can say without a doubt, with any given year, I start at least 100 new video games every single year.
Oh, this is a challenge. I forgot we're doing a challenge.
Well, it's a fun challenge. Like, it's not about beating anybody else. It's about.
I was just kicking off my summer.
Oh, I'm doing both. My next two tracks are actually related to summer feelings.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's the idea of I like feeling like I can give myself an excuse to go back and play a game that got left back in time by new releases and new reviews or whatever.
Yeah.
And those games, which is also why I feel like at the end of the day, there's like a cream of the crop in that. Like we were talking about earlier about what are these 3 games the worst, right? I can like 10 games, but only certain ones are going to make me go, I'm going back to that.
Going back, that's right,
I'm going back to that.
This is your opportunity to be to take Purnell back into the past.
That's right.
Pick the ones you want to finish and put it back into the future.
That's right. And enrich that future with games that I can play in the present from the past.
All right, so my last track comes from an old game and from the past. And I've been back into shooters again, like pretty hardcore. I've been playing all the Capcom ones on the PS4 Capcom collection, and there's another collection coming out, which I'm excited about.
What, another Capcom arcade collection?
Yeah, it's gonna have a bunch of new stuff on it.
Is it being referred to specifically as like the arcade collection 2? Or?
Yeah, like whatever the last one was called, Part 2.
Oh, cool.
So there's a lot of good stuff on it. It's missing a lot of like stuff that people I think really, really want. but are just not going to come out because of licensing issues, like Alien versus Predator and things like that.
They should just give it a reskin, like Jim and Jim versus Clark or something.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great Capcom shooters. And the one shooter that I really, really love and that I can't play unless I get a region free or go to like I have to get yen somehow to play and then open up a user in Japanese on my PlayStation 4.
Wait, did you import the system or import the game I meant?
Yeah, that's the only way to get this game, which is Dodonpachi Dai-Ou-Jou.
Oh, okay.
Which I love. It's like probably my favorite shooter right now. And I can only play it on MAME, which is super annoying.
Well, I mean, the system's region free, right? So if you could just get a physical disc.
Yeah, I'd have to get the disc. Yeah, you're right. But what if I don't want a disc?
Well, you gotta look.
So on the Xbox 360, I got a disc for Mushihime-sama, that shooter, and then immediately, like, never played it.
So I can definitely tell you on my PlayStation and my Switch, I have an American account, I have a European account, and I think in one system I have an Australian account.
Oh wow, yeah. So I'll need to do like a Japanese account, and I can buy from their store, but I have to go to like Play Asia and like get like bucks from them or yen from them to conversion so I can buy the game. But for right now, I got a little computer with MAME on it. I'm cool with that. I have a specific build of MAME that's just for cave shooters. So this is from Cave. It's Dodonpachi Dai-Ou-Jou. We're going to listen to the soundtrack from the Black Label Extra version, which is, of course, just more stages and arranged music and harder enemies. So this is Stage 3, Strange Dance by Manabu Namiki. Listening to Stage 3, Strange Dance from the game Dodonpachi Dai-Ou-Jou Black Label Extra, composed by Manabu Namiki.
What a title!
Yeah, right. I'm not sure what Dai-Ou-Jou means, but Dodonpachi is it's the sequel to Dodon. I think it's Donpachi or Dodon. I forget. It's supposed to be like onomatopoeia for shooting a gun. It's one of the earliest cave bullet hell shooters.
The thing about
super solid. I love it.
Whenever I hear the title, I think about something that is absolutely not. Like it seems like it would be some kind of weird, colorful game with like happy characters you're shooting around with, or whatever, mushroom pillars and the like. No, this is a typical military vehicle spaceship game. But Dodonpachi Dai-Ou-Jou, you said. But did I name it the second part? Just Dodonpachi.
Dodonpachi.
Dodonpachi sounds like it's more fun.
It does sound
lively.
Fun. Yeah. Then you add Dai-Ou-Jou, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Then you add Black Label Extreme.
Getting grim over here.
Or Black Label Extra. Yeah. The I don't know. Of like it is like that typical like military space ship fighting thing, but like of that kind of style, like it's my favorite. I love the way it looks. I love the way it plays. I love any of the cave shooters where if you hold down the shoot button, like the ship slows down.
Yeah, I prefer those.
And you can see a focus shot, and you can see where your highlights where your hitbox is.
Oh, that I'm not used to. I thought you were just saying you slow down when you hold the button, so like you have to balance between shooting and resting.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it slows down. It doesn't slow down the game. It slows down.
Not me showing your ship.
Yeah, which I think is cool. But it slows down your ship, and a little light pops up in the middle of your ship, and that's your hitbox.
Yeah,
I really, really like that. And it's also a combo system where you have to like kind of keep things blowing up all the time. Yeah, so it's a scoring system that's easy to figure out, and that's all. These games are all about score.
There's something wild about the fact that shmups still maintain their level of fun. Like even now, you'll get a bunch of new releases, and it's like, so what can your ship do? Well, you can fire a bullet.
Yep.
You can use a bomb, and that's all you can do.
That's right. If there's like a new one, right, that had too many buttons and too many options, I probably wouldn't be as interested.
See, that's the thing. I'm almost a little different. Like I don't need a ton of options, but what I like. And I feel like Caladri's Blaze did a good job with her. Caladri's Burst. I always screw the don't.
Yeah, they had a lot of things. And
you had 3 weapons, and rather than have to be like, okay, my ship can do this, or my ship can do this, like, no, each ship has 3 guns, and you use them within reason, because 2 of them have like an energy level or whatever. But essentially, you choose the time to use these aspects of your ship. So it gives you a bit of variety or variability to how you would play the game, as opposed to just like, I can shoot and I can bomb. And that's it.
Yeah, I know, and it's 2 buttons essentially. That's all you need.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I feel like giving you a little bit more variety in what your ship can do gives each player a sense of feeling like, okay, I can strategize through this level in a way that the other player wouldn't. Like I play this area differently from you versus we all shoot, we all boom.
Yeah, I think I think that individuality is overrated. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It's not that I want it to be like pure. It's just that I think. For me and my old man brain, I can't, like, as soon as I have all those extra options, I get stuck.
But in that regard, couldn't you just be the person who's like, okay, I don't really feel like dealing with a bunch of different guns, so when I play the game, I'm just going to use the main shot.
And that's what I did when I played with you, and I didn't do as well. But that's okay. All right, we're on to your last track.
All right, so this is me moving away from the Summer Games Challenge and moving more towards just the vibe of summer. So one thing that I was contemplating, though I don't know if it's going to happen because my other friends don't particularly have a need for this like I was considering it, was getting back in the adult sports league antics. And one particular game that I really enjoyed from adult sports was Dodgeball. There's something to be said about being able to take a hard day at work and go into a gym with a bunch of other grown adults and saying, I'm going to knock your head off with this ball, and you're doing the same thing to me, and we're all having a good time trying to knock each other out with these inflatable balls or whatever. And then I don't know how to explain. Like it gets your adrenaline up in a way that feels great.
I'd be terrified to break my glasses, honestly.
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
Oh, I was. But then a couple times I asked him to just play without my glasses, and that was a whole other game.
Oh man, I would have a hard time with that.
Oh my God, that blurry image is throwing that blurry thing at me. I better dodge. But this track comes from the game Dodgeball Academia. This is the Battle 2 theme composed by Leonardo Lima. Welcome back. You're listening to Battle Theme 2 from the game Dodgeball Academia from composer Leonardo Lima, or Lima. I don't. So this game, well, I'll talk about the game in a second, but like the track itself 100% gives me like outdoor, happy-go-lucky, energetic vibes, you know? It makes me feel like going outside and engaging in some antics of some sort.
Yeah, the game looks like a Cartoon Network show.
Yeah, they were 100% going for that.
Like little kids running around, these big heads and big eyes. They're so cute.
They were totally going for the whole idea of like a anime plot line. And honestly, going down the letter is totally an anime plot line. But that's fine because I didn't come here for originality. I came here for fun. And the game definitely produces that. So without going into specifics, I'm going to be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to miss some beat, but it takes place at a school devoted to dodgeball experts. And it's a very special school in the sense that in this world, there's a special dodgeball energy that for those who are chosen, they are able to tap into it. And they gain access to like their own ultimate dodgeball move. And all the kids go to the school and they ultimately hope to obtain that. Like it's part of the opening ceremony, in fact, of the school.
So like they're the best dodgeball players like in the world, or they're going to be, and they go to the school and they to attain the ultimate dodgeball throw.
They all have one unique to their own. Like when they tap into the energy, it's like, okay, this is unique to you, so this makes you special. But the main character sneaks onto campus. Like he's not supposed to be going there.
Yeah.
And he sneaks on the campus, and then the same day he shows up, someone steals the item that that pretty much harnesses the energy, and they blame him for it. He's like, I didn't do it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess he has to go out of his way to try to figure out who stole it and find it. So he goes on a dodgeball adventure, and he recruits members to his actual team, and they have to fight battles in the form of dodgeball matches. You have stats, you level up, you equip items that make yourself better, and every character on your team does get dodgeball-like specials. Like one character's super dodgeball move is a healing spring. Don't ask how. He just heals people with his dodgeball powers. Another character does like a Kamehameha beam, a dodgeball Kamehameha beam.
It's so cute, and this music is really cool.
Oh,
I love how fast it is too.
Like this is one of those games where when I was playing it, I kind of got absorbed in it. I meant to play it for like 5 minutes and played it for like 3 hours.
Oh yeah,
like this is a lot of fun. And when you move around the campus, the way you run is by just rolling into a ball and just like blasting across the campus. It's such a strange game.
It looks cool. It's funny. So the characters look like some of them look like they're out of the anime Crayon Shin-chan, and then some other ones look like they're out of what's that one? Gumball Adventures or something like that.
Oh, I don't remember. It's like just Gumball.
I think it's called Gumball. Yeah, it looks a little bit like that.
The cat.
It's really
goldfish
cute.
Kid.
Yeah, and some of them look like they're from the show Owl House, which I'm really into, which is a Disney show. They all have that kind of style to it. It's like an American. It seems very like American cartoon, like modern cartoon style.
I can definitely say without question that this is the sort of game where I feel like anyone should be able to play and have fun with it. I'm not going to sit there and say it's the game. It's like the perfect game. No one could possibly dislike it. But I am saying that it's the sort of game I think everyone should try because it seems like it would have that level of universal appeal.
Yeah.
Like Super Dodgeball had back on the NES back in the day.
Yeah, I remember as a kid being like, I was like, oh, there's basketball games, there's baseball games, and as a kid I was like, there's a dodgeball game?
But it's so good. Like even now, like
it's still fun.
I remember when the Game Boy Advance came out and they announced that there was a sequel to Super Dodgeball releasing on it. And at the time, the game hadn't been acknowledged in like 15 years.
Yeah, but that's all everyone talked about.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, Super Dodgeball's back! And that was definitely the game I bought on launch, and I still play it. Still play it. It's good. Well, and this game is great.
Yeah, man, this looks really cool. Well, you know what's coming back? The bonus round.
Bonus round. I'm gonna toss me some bonus round balls.
I love that. Toss me my bonus round ball. The bonus rounds where we're playing covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. And I told you I have a summer jam for you right here.
Oh, man. I'm curious about this because I was having trouble finding like a summery jam, like the high energy type in that mind. So I'm curious about what you packed to the table.
This is the newest single from the Mad Gear.
Ooh.
Yes. It's just from their album Mad Gear 64, which you can get now on Bandcamp at madgearband.bandcamp.com. This is the first background music to Silver Surfer, composed by Tim Follin. It is really good. They did such a good job on this track. So this is Silver Surfer BGM 1, composed by Tim Follin and performed and arranged by the Mad Gear. Was background music 1 from the game Silver Surfer for the NES, composed by Tim Follin, arranged and performed by the Mad Gear.
I'm sorry, that was foreground music, sir.
Foreground music. It's phenomenal. I mean, the original track, like, they feel like they captured all of the melodies and all of the craziness of the original track and just sort of extended it and like gave each little bit like its own little showcase with the saxophone, with the guitar, even with the synthesizer, the keyboard player they have. It's perfect. It's so good. You know, Cam's on the drums, just keeping the whole thing together.
I was honestly, the whole thing was a gem, but the horn, whoever the horn man was,
the horn man,
you deserve extra kudos.
Oh man, it's so good. He announced it, and I was like, oh man, I haven't clicked on it yet. I haven't checked it out yet. And I was at work today, and I was like, I gotta listen to it today. And it's just so good. So if you like what you hear, if you like your video game music with a tough edge,
with some cut sleeves,
yeah, check out the Mad Gear at Bandcamp, or is it madgear.com/madgear.bandcamp. you know what I'm talking about. madgearband.bandcamp.com.
He's going to type it on the site.
It's going to be on the site. It's all going to be up there. So it's so good. So check them out. Give them your money. They need it. They need it. They deserve it.
They deserve it.
They're so good. All right, so we're up to you now.
All right, so I ended up coming across much lighter tune. I felt like this track spoke to me because it gave me the feel like a vibe of like a summer evening, like just chilling at the end of a summer day.
I like that. Yeah. Good
So,
way to end the show too.
So this comes from, it's a cover of a track that's from Sonic Advance 3, which in and of itself is a cover from the Green Hill song in Sonic the Hedgehog. This is the Sunset Hill guitar cover from the game Sonic Advance 3, covered by TGH the Guitar Hero.
Gonna be big stars.
You and that dig Mr. Joe, Mrs. Joe's and me.
I can't want to say Mrs. Jones.
No, I said
That's a
Mr.
different
Joe.
song,
It was
yeah.
Mr. Joe. Now you're about Mrs. Joe.
Mr. Jones. We're gonna be big stars.
But this actually had nothing to do with Mrs. Jones. This is actually the Sunset Hill guitar cover from Sonic Advance 3 done by the Guitar Hero. Like I said before, oddly enough, I chose this because I liked that sort of quiet guitar strumming sound that he's doing here. Because it reminds me of like a quiet evening where you're just kind of sitting around a fire and someone breaks out the guitar. It's like, let me just play some notes for you guys while you all just kind of drink your beers and just stare up at the stars.
Yeah, even it's kind of recorded kind of a low quality, so even that kind of staticky background kind of reminds me of that. Like you're outside, there's like kind of wind or there's cars going by.
Yeah, because I was originally searching for a track that would be like the exact opposite, like, a lively summer day, like a carnival maybe, or just driving down the coast. But then I came across this and I was like, wow. This is an aspect of summer that I really love and in some respects kind of miss because it doesn't happen very often as an adult.
Yeah.
But like when I was a teenager, we used to do that kind of thing a lot. Just kind of hang around like a bonfire.
Yeah.
And just listen to, just look at the stars and sometimes not even talk, just relax.
Yeah, we had a big barbecue party. You were with us at the house last weekend. And we were planning on like, okay, everything's done. We're going to have like a bonfire. We'll have like a little fire pit. We're going to set it up in the back. But like 8 o'clock rolled around and everyone left.
I was like, look at the time.
You had somewhere to go.
I had to do something.
Yeah, I think everyone did. Everyone just like took off. And I was like, well, at least that's fine. At least everyone decided to go at the same time.
Was it something we said?
No, it was. But we were planning on having a little fire pit and like kind of keeping it going. But anyway, for more information on the bonus round, please go to rhythmandpixels.com, where we're going to have links to the artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and YouTubes and everywhere you can go, find the music and buy the music and support these artists.
But wait, no, we've got one more track to play.
Oh, I thought it would be our track to go out on.
No. He gets billing.
Oh, okay.
He gets billing.
Boom. This is a bonus track.
That's right. This is a bonus round EX, baby.
The extra B is for bonus.
That's what they all say. They all say bonus. This actually was a submission from Curly Kevin, a listener and friend of the show. He originally wanted to submit it for the purpose of our mascots episode, but he was just a little off on the timing. But ain't no big deal, because I think it's cool that he submitted it, and we want to put him on the show and let it play anyway. So this track actually comes from the game Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, and it is called Back to the Roots, composed by Jake Kaufman.
That's a buzzy bass, man. It's a buzzy bass.
Buzzy bass?
It's a buzzy bass. Love it.
You're listening to Back to the Roots from the game Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, composed by Jake Kaufman, submitted by listener and friend Curly Kevin. And this is what he had to say about this. Let me see. I think Shantae could be a console mascot, and her drawn version of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, I think, fits the bill for this. She wears a vest with the usual clothing, because she is not a half genie hero anymore in this game because of the events that occurred at the end of the previous one where she gave up her genie powers. She is full-on human. So let me see here. With the vest, she does not show as much skin, which executives at companies would be probably fine with, which allows it to be more family-friendly as well. Open marketplace. I played this game for the first time this past month and like her character. She is bubbly, witty, funny, and does the right things to save people, including her enemies such as Risky Boots, from certain death, even though it would actually end her conflict between them, thereby making for a better experience in the end. She's just a quality character. My track suggestion comes from Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. It's called Back to the Roots from Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, composed by Jake Kaufman. It's a little different from the main theme or Scuttletown, but it is like a mix of Castlevania and Middle Eastern themes that plays a lot of music from this game. So, you have some good choices here. And honestly, I feel like
Yeah, Way Forward, Shantae. I think we mentioned that on the show, definitely. And it has a little bit of that Eastern vibe to it, but like not all the way through, just like little bits of it. And I really like that a lot. Yeah, and that rhythm is awesome.
I've always been a fan of the Shantae OSTs. I have not played through all of them because I just never had the time. But I keep telling myself to go back to them. But I've played a good chunk of Pirates, Risky's Revenge. I played a good chunk of actually the beginning of Pirate's Curse, and I've played a lot of not Half Genie Hero, but this Seven Sirens, the most recent one they did. And they kind of follow the same template of gameplay. Like, they don't change a ton, but it's tried and true gameplay. And the characterization that they put in of the characters is always pretty funny. Like in the newest one, they had a whole segment where there's a guy who he's like a collector character. Like he collects all these cool action figures and stuff. So he kidnaps Shantae and a friend of theirs, and he puts them in like Mylar containers, kind of like on that Simpsons with the collector.
Yeah.
And like they're in like these like packages of themselves, like Shantae action figure. She's like She's like, I gotta get out of this thing.
That's cute. I
thought that was pretty funny.
That's funny.
But like, yeah, I think this is a good pick. And honestly,
it's a really, really good pick.
And I feel like Shantae, even though she's not, and I'll make this quick, so like, yeah, get this moving.
That's right.
But like, Shantae is already, I feel like at this point, she is Way Forward's mascot. Like, she's transcended what she originally started as. She's pretty much become their mascot.
Yeah, I always get them, for some reason, I get Way Forward mixed up with Yacht Club games.
Oh, yeah, there's a Shovel Knight.
There's definitely different. Oh man, I could play some Shovel Knight on the show. But I think where my mind is making the connection is Jake Kaufman.
Oh yeah, that's true, because he did OSTs for Shovel Knight too.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah, or for most of it, like 99% of it.
So I know one track was Manami Matsume. She did I want to say the Treasure Knight stage.
I think that's the one. Yeah, I think it was Treasure Knight. It was cool they got her to do that. But we should probably. I would love to do a whole Shantae episode.
Spoiler: Jake Kaufman.
Oh yeah,
I'm contemplating it.
I think that's a bold but very smart move.
Well, you got to remember, and this is a little spoiler for my intent here, is that people say masters, they don't always have to mean like the old guard, you know.
The old masters: Leonardo, Michelangelo, Shredder, Splinter. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. But I think because there's a lot of Jake Kaufman music, a whole Shantae episode would be really fun to do. But again, for more information on the past bonus round, you can go to rhythmandpixels.com. All right, thanks for joining us on episode 33-2 of Rhythm and Pixels, our kickoff to summer, a kickoff to the Summer Games Challenge, our kickoff to the Summer Games Barbecue, a kickoff to the Summer Olympic Games.
It's kickoff to summer heat and high electric bills from AC's Run Wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now.
I got my $77 electric bill in the mail, and I was like, man, I'm going to miss this next month.
Oh, man. But yeah, this has been fun. This last track is from the game Feda for the Super Nintendo, which I have never heard of before.
You and anyone else, honestly.
This is an American release, North American release.
I don't know. I don't think it was because.
So
what happened was, I only learned this because of my friend, Francis from Hey Poor Player. We get to talking a lot about a favorite game that we share, which is Shining Force 2. And one day in conversation, he let out that there's this game called Feda, the Emblem of Justice. He's like, have you heard of this? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, you might want to play this because apparently in his description, they were like, it was worked on by former members of the team that made Shining Force.
Oh, okay.
And it bears a lot of similarities to that.
Yoshitaka Tamaki. Okay, yeah, Japan only in 1994. And then it got released on the Saturn in 96.
Oh, there we go. But, like, he loaned me the cartridge because he got a fan cart of it made, or fan repro. And he was like, well, if you want to play it on the original hardware, I can loan you a cart. And he did, and I've been kicking the can down the road because of reviews and stuff. But then I decided as of last night, no more! I went and dug up the old Super Nintendo version 2 from the closet and hooked it up to my old TV, and I played that along with Alundra last night. And I'm going to be playing more of this throughout the summer in my retro office. Getting through it and experiencing this.
Does it have like a familiar feel of Shining Force?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
From the item and weapon icons, the character portraits, The only thing that doesn't seem to have the same of, but that's partly because it's a Camelot staple, is the animated icons when you're scrolling through menus. But it feels very shiny Forsy. It's really cool. It feels like I'm playing like sort of like their long lost brother.
It's like, yeah, it feels familiar. Like you're visiting like a family member you haven't seen in a long time.
Yes,
I like that. That's fun. It's a cool soundtrack too. It's got kind of like an old school SNES sound to it. Kind of, I don't know. Like this, the instrumentation just sounds old to me. You know, it's just fun.
It even does that really simple like thing that old school RPGs did, where they don't take a lot of time setting up a background to the narrative. It's just like, you're a guy in an army. We're attacking your town. We shouldn't be doing this. Obey orders. Screw you. I'm not doing it. Well, you're going to jail, and now the game starts with you breaking out, and now you're a rebel. Like, this all happens in like 5 minutes.
It's always like a little bit of a shortcut to being like, you're invested in this now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, okay, so you're just a kid, and you're waking up, and you're walking into town, and oh my God, your house is on fire.
The evil army did that. You hate them now. Let's go fight them.
Yeah.
And that's your game setup, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you know, and that's what they did. You know, and the rest of the game is, I feel like, you're grinding out your experience points and like travel and like searching for where to go next. And I feel like that's the story. Like that's the story you're telling the story.
Yeah. And I'm just hoping this bad boy rides out and sticks the landing for me. But so far, I think it's fun. I'm going to be sad to give the cart back in the end because that means my save file's going with it. But it's really about the experience at the end of the day. I don't need to keep the save file.
We can dump the cart. We'll just dump the ROM and you'll have it forever because you're the collector.
Oh, true. Oh, now you're talking.
No, I don't have any means to do that, so sorry about that.
No, don't give me hope.
Just steal it. Steal it from your friends.
No, never. Francis is a good guy. I would never.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Okay, so if you want to get in contact with me and Pernell, if you have a track suggestion, a topic suggestion, or if you just want to say hi, or if you want to say I like what you're doing, if you want to say I don't like what you're doing, send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
We read all of our emails. We may not answer all of them, but we definitely get all of them, and we read them all. Check the junk mail, too. For better or for worse. I check the
Usually
junk mail.
for worse.
I check that, too. And if you want a full track listing of this episode and all of our episodes and access to all of our episodes, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
Don't forget, at the top of the webpage, there's a link to our Discord server, so you can check that out and hang out with us and other people who are interested in game music and video games, and even other video game music podcasts and podcasters. They hang out there as well, so check that out. You can go to youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. We have a 24/7 8-bit and 16-bit radio station that's playing right now. And right now, I'm teaching myself a lot of coding with that thing now. So the next thing I'm doing is if you put the command like in the chat, in the live chat, it will like the track. And I'm keeping a database that actually shows on the screen of how many people liked a certain song.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So I'm figuring out how to do that. And in the process of doing that,
what language is it in?
I'm using JavaScript. So it's all it's a server-side JavaScript called Node.
Okay.
So and then the pages that display the titles and stuff, that's just JavaScript within HTML.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm doing a whole lot at the back end. So. And JavaScript isn't that hard. It's just the Node stuff is tough because it's all asynchronous. But anyway, I can get to that later. But that's it's been fun. I've been having a whole lot of fun doing it. So I'm learning how to manipulate APIs and stuff like that. So check that out. YouTube.com/rhythmandpixels. There's a lot of new music up there. There's Game Boy music. There's Neo Geo Pocket Color music. There's a ton of Super Nintendo music. And we'll just be updating it constantly. So please check that out. It's a lot of fun. And it's good to play in the background at work. It's pretty cool. And if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is tell people about it. You can tell friends and family that hey, this is what I'm into, and these two guys are cool.
Tie a coin to a string and wave it in front of your friend's face and let them know Rhythm and Pixels is the best. Rhythm and Pixels is the best. You want to listen to Rhythm and Pixels? Maybe eat a sandwich while doing so.
Rob and Pernell are great. Rob and Pernell are your dads now. Rob and Pernell are great. So you can check that out on our Patreon, but you can also hit the subscribe button or like button wherever you are. That's going to help us out too. But you can also help us out at Patreon, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. All the money there goes to help support the work that we do here, the hosting, the YouTube stream, all that stuff. It all takes time and costs some money. So
Con trips too for that matter.
yeah, and all of our appearances at the different conventions. So if you want to see more of that, you can go to Patreon. As a member of Patreon, you get access to monthly live streams of the show. So you can be a part of the show, which is a lot of fun. You get cool stuff like stickers, there's mugs, and there's exclusive t-shirts through Patreon. So go check that out. Patreon.com/rhythmandpixels.
I want to see that shirt one. I don't think I've ever looked at it.
Oh, I'll have to show you. I lost my train of thought. Oh, we like to thank our Patreon members at the highest levels at the end of every episode. So we want to thank Brooke and Frankly Zappa. The two of you are fantastic, top tier, number one. All of the rest can suck it.
Stop that! No, that's not how this works. Never how this works.
I just do stuff just to get a rise out of you.
It's not fair. My heart hurts.
Anyway, both of you, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. It does a lot for our souls. So thank you both very much.
And also, I guess this is another case of thanks, Frankly Zappa, because he got me to actually start trying to get back into Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we were talking about that a little ways back, and I told myself I'm going to sit down and make myself get familiar with the controls and see what all the hubbub's about.
All day today, it's like, oh, I'm getting back into this game, getting back into this game, get back into this game. Suddenly, you're not going to get back into any game because the list is way too long.
It's getting there, but the downside just means now I have to stop getting into games. Like, I'm hitting a cap. I've hit a cap, rather. So
no cap. I want to thank number one. No username, just number one. Thank you very much.
Number one.
Thank GameFan44. Thank you very much. Mike Myers. Here we have a new Patreon member, the Tyrionator. Am I saying that right? Tyrionator.
I want to say it's Tyrionator.
Well, there's an I and an A in there. Tyrionator.
Tyrionator.
Oh, I like Tyrionator. Thank you very much, Tyrionator. Huge thank you. We want to thank Ulf Person, Fashion 8060, Alex Messenger from the AVGM Journey podcast. Excuse me. Andreas Milberg, Brian Pitt, Cameron Worma, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Chris Steenerson, Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The Wise Quiz Guy.
Christopher Senstrom, Chuck Kowalski, Davey Cakes, David Taylor, Enchilada Rigol, Harold Howard, Triple Jeff,
Try Jeff!
Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Keith Shusterman, Martyrus.
There you go.
Got you, from the Re-VGM podcast. Michael Bridgewater, Sir Michael Bridgewater. Rage Cage from the VG Emporium podcast. So check that out. Reinhard Zelkova, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, Ed Wilson from the VG Embassy, Bedroth from the Very Good Music VGM podcast, and Zach Thornbach.
Nice.
So thank you all so much, and many more, for supporting our little program.
Greatly appreciated.
Very much appreciated. I might actually start running like a scroll of our Patreon members, maybe on the.
That would be a good idea.
Too. Yeah. Like kind of like run through like how it runs through backgrounds, and eventually it'll run through another one that has like a thank you list. Well, I think I'll set that up tomorrow. That'd be kind of nice. All right, so all of you, thank you very much. It means a lot to us. It means that we can feed our children.
Well, first I have to have children, and then I will feed.
We can go to bed tonight in our beds, filled with your money. No,
I can finally afford to de-needle my bed mattress.
De-needle it.
Yes, they're so prickly.
Yeah, Needle Man. All right, so thank you all so much for supporting the show. Thanks for listening to the show. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week.
And remember, summertime is great. I know we're all looking forward to getting some much-needed relaxation and gaming time in, but don't forget, relaxation can happen outside of the house, too. Take some time to get familiar with your national parks, or your not-so-national, but just neighborhood parks. Go for some walks in your neighborhood. Sit near a stream. Listen to water babble down a brook. I love doing that, for the record. It sounds corny, but I'm telling you, I could spend 10 hours next to a river and not bat an eye. Feel content. Just get more time outside and becoming more attuned to your natural environment. It's wonderful. And if you find yourself needing to get some more game time in out there, get a Switch! Playing the Switch outside in a shady area, because those things suck with the sun. Is a good time. It's a good feeling. Just do that thing.
Do that. do that.